But I don't know what my life would be if I hadn't gone a little crazy and listened and sat. This is the reality of COVID. Okay. Hi. It's weird to be up here. It had been a long day. Sitting behind a desk, staring at a computer, going in and out of boardroom meetings. I welcomed the peace and quiet that's sitting in my car at Kings Highway and Filer at that red light brought me, with the Quick Trip on my right and the used car sales lot on my left. I was digging the used car sale lot party decorations that they always have up. That day they had the silver streamers, and I was just watching and waiting for the green light. But within a matter of seconds, I heard this voice, and it said, if you keep going the path that you're going, you're gonna die. Light turned green. I kept going, driving down Kings Highway, made the left on my street Goethe, took the back alleyway to my house, parked, and I sat there because at that time, everything was going pretty well. Professionally, I had a job, corner window, view. I was gonna make VP before 30, like we were set. Personally, I was in a relationship that I saw like my entire future with this person, which is overwhelming and kind of scary at times. And the more that I thought about this relationship, the more I started to understand what that voice was talking about, because recently, when my partner Patrick and I would fight, I felt myself regressing into childhood tendencies of screaming and cursing and stonewalling and just walking out when things got too much and I couldn't communicate and I froze. So I got out of my car, walked in the back door, pulled out my laptop, and did something that I had been putting off for about 4 or 5 years. I hit submit on my 200-hour yoga teacher training application and sent all the good vibes out into the universe so that I would at least get an interview. I was very specific with the training and organization that I wanted to work with, because there are literally thousands of yoga teacher trainings that you could take. But this one, I knew I had to be there. It was with Yoga Buzz, a St. Louis-based nonprofit organization, and they were focused on yoga as action, yoga as community, and most importantly for me, a trauma-informed practice. You may have heard the term before: trauma-informed, trauma-aware, trauma-sensitive. In a super-duper quick nutshell, trauma at its core is focused on one thing, and that's choice. And when choice is taken away from us, that can breed a lot of different things. A couple days later, I got the email for the interview. What I wasn't expecting was that the interview was with the founder of nonprofit, which I was a super duper fangirl of Elle Potter. She had brought yoga into the St. Louis community like I'd never seen before, accessible in events like breweries and galleries and places where people would not associate yoga with, at least the movement aspect of yoga. So imposter syndrome, anxiety, all of these things started to stir within me, and I was like, maybe this is a really bad idea and I shouldn't do this anymore. But a couple days later, I got to their house in Maplewood that they owned. I got there early, and I was ready. I was telling myself, I can do this, I can do this. These are the people I'm supposed to be with. This is good, this is good. I walked in those doors, I met Elle, we got to talking. It was going really well. It was going really well. Until we started getting into the meat of things, of why yoga buzz? Why trauma informed? What does that mean to you? I shared things with her that at that time I only shared with my therapist, my partner Patrick, and a few very, very close friends. I have a sister who is 7 years older than me. And since the day she was born, she's lived and experienced mental health, addiction, body dysmorphia. And those don't just live within one person, especially when you're part of a family unit. The best way that I can describe is, the English ivy that grows on brick buildings. And it looks really beautiful on brick buildings because brick buildings aren't living organisms. If you apply that ivy onto trees or plants or anything else, the ivy invades, it suffocates, and it kills everything that it touches. And that had been kind of my experience my entire life. And I shared that with essentially a total stranger who I didn't know at all. So walking out of that interview, I was like, nope, didn't get it. I had just shared things that way too vulnerable, way too honest. And at that time in my life, to be vulnerable and honest was to be weak. And weak people don't get what they want. Strong people get what they want. So, a couple weeks passed. I didn't get a call, didn't get a text message, didn't get an email. It was early June on a Saturday morning. I was camping with a couple of friends down in Steelville, Missouri, along the Black River. And no one else was up yet. And randomly I had reception, so I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna check my email just one more time. And there it was. There it was. But I got in. And from that moment that I got accepted into the cohort and met the community of people that I trained with for 9 months, you start to do that really hard work of looking at yourself and looking at all of you. The light, the dark. And it was uncomfortable, and it was hard. It was really hard. It's still hard. But it's so good. It's so good. I could have kept going and essentially been the shell of the person that I was a couple of years ago. Instead, I took a moment with myself and listened. And from that moment of listening to myself, I got to marry my best friend. The peak of COVID, no one got sick, it was great. And from that, we have made and created this amazing human being who's going to turn 1 next month. Insanity. And all of the board meetings and emails, those are starting to subside because I found my life partner, I found my partner in life, in business, and we are just doing the damn thing of creating space in St. Louis and Maplewood for young people to come and move and connect and settle, and a trauma-informed space for kids. Like, I never in a million years saw myself with kids or working with kids. And it's insane. I know it's insane to hear voices. I get that. I get it's crazy. But I don't know what my life would be if I hadn't gone a little crazy and listened and sat and just been with myself, knowing that voice was my soul. And that was the first time in my adult life that I had settled enough to hear it. And like, whew, I'm still going to hear that voice again. So I appreciate you all listening, and thank you for your time.